Regular meeting for the Warrensville Heights City School District. Today is Thursday, September 22nd. Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba?
Here.
Ms. Mitchell?
Here.
Mrs. Moomin?
Here.
Mr. Freeman?
Here.
Mrs. Gator?
Here. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone, please be seated. Item 1.4 is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Board members, did you identify any changes that need to be made to this agenda?
Didn't you say you added some stuff?
They were on the agenda before today, so they weren't added today at all.
Everything was prior
As
to
soon as
it.
it was live, they were already on the agenda.
Okay. So at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve 1.4, approval of agenda, September 22nd, 2016, regular board meeting.
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved by Member Freeman and second by Member Moomin. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mrs. Elba?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes, motion passed 5-0. Item 1.5 is the approval of the minutes, and I'm asking for an approval of the minutes from August 2nd, 11th, 23rd, and 25th. May I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve the minutes on agenda 1.5, approval of the following minutes: August 2nd, 2016, special meeting; August 11th, 2016, informational meeting; August 23rd, 2016, special meeting; and August 25th, regular meeting.
May I have a second?
I second.
It's been properly moved by Member Freeman, second by Member Moomin. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mrs. Elba?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes, motion passed 5-0. All right, item 1.6. This is a big one for us. I'm going to ask Mrs. McDowell to come down. We have some students from the high school that still had some work that needed to be completed prior to graduation, but they have completed all of their requirements, and we would like to formally acknowledge them as graduates with the class of 2016. So that's actually a great thing. All right, so we're going to let Mrs. McDowell and Mr. Jolly make the presentations. First, we'll have Diamond Washington come up.
Principal McDowell, class advisors and faculty, do you attest to the fact that these scholars have satisfactorily completed the requisite course of study by the Warrensville Heights High School, the Board of Education of the Warrensville Heights City School District, and the Ohio Department of Education?
I certify that all the scholars, that this scholar in front of you this evening have met all the educational requirements of the state of Ohio and the Warrensville Heights City School District, and have passed all of the required parts of the Ohio graduation test. This scholar is now ready to receive her diploma.
Now, by the authority of the Board of Education of the Warrensville Heights City School District, I have the high honor to bestow upon you, the members of the Warrensville Heights High School class of 2016, the diploma of Warrensville Heights High School, along with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto.
Graduate Brittany Johnson. I probably should have done both at the same time.
It's okay.
Yeah. So we're going to do it again. Okay, let's do it again.
Principal McDowell, class advisors and faculty, do you attest to the fact that this scholar here has satisfactorily completed the requisite course of study prescribed by the Warrensville Heights High School, the Board of Education of Warrensville Heights City School District, and the Ohio Department of Education.
I certify that Brittany Johnson this evening has met all the educational requirements of the state of Ohio and the Warrensville Heights City School District and has passed all the required parts of the Ohio graduation test and is now ready to receive her diploma.
All right, Brittany. All right, way to go. Let's give all of the graduates a hand. So this was actually a really good year for Warrensville. Unfortunately, we did have 5 students that still had some requirements to be made, but as you can see, we've got 3 more that are now considered the class of 2016. So in all, it was a great year because 5 students out of 91, I believe.
92.
Is a great number for us as far as the number of students that graduated last year. So congratulations to everybody, and if your plans are to go off to college, I wish you both well. So good luck to you all, okay? Item 1.7 is going to be a presentation from Danielle Smiley. Ms. Smiley, the floor is yours. Come on down.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I would like to share just some brief information on some things that the Family and Community Engagement is working on. And of course, everything is upside down. So I'm not sure. How is that? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So, there are 2 events that I would like to present tonight, or the information I would like to share tonight. The Family Feast and the Teen Summit is what the Family and Community Engagement Department is planning for our scholars and parents. The Family Feast will be a social event for parents, students, and staff to come together over dinner and entertainment as a way to build relationships among the district. The tentative date is Friday, December 9th, 2016. The location, the desired location is at the high school. Time is still yet to be determined. This event will be a catered event. However, as of now, I only have received 1 catering estimate, and we would like to have at least 3 so that we can make a decision from 3 versus just 1. As I move along, I would like to talk just a little bit about the Teen Summit that we would like to have here in the district. The Teen Summit will be a platform for both parents and teens to communicate on issues surrounding their community. The platform will allow for the parents and teens to give their perspective on select topics. In addition, it will allow for learning among other teens and adults about what works, what lessons they have learned, and how they may contribute to their community. The summit will be open to all high school students, their parents, and staff. We are also looking for, or we will also have facilitators facilitating each summit on each topic in which they are knowledgeable. Also, the summit will take place, or is looking to start, the summit is looking to start on October 22nd, and it will run for 8 consecutive Saturdays, excluding the Saturday the week of Thanksgiving break, which is Saturday, November 26th. Each session will be 60 minutes, followed by a reception for a total time of 120 minutes. During the reception, refreshments will be available. The Youth Summit is important because it focuses on how teens and adults will interact with one another in a positive and respectful environment to begin to engage in discussions that are important to both of them. It will also showcase the abilities and voices of our young people and attract them on being able to speak about issues that are important to them, and also be able to create a positive environment within their community. Some of the benefits of the summit will be more students will get involved with making their environment positive. More opportunities will be available for students to learn how to organize and present their thoughts in an effective manner. And also, more opportunities will be available for home discussions to take place. And lastly, our hope is that it will increase student, teacher, and parental involvement within the high school. Now, we are asking that the board would consider making a monetary donation for both the Family Feast and the Teen Summit after all estimates have been received. Thank you. Or questions?
I do want to add, I've been working with Ms. Smiley on the activities. So when she has it complete, we will bring it to the board.
Thank you.
And as far as the board helping, I'm going to defer that to our treasurer, and we'll definitely make sure that, a response is given to you as to what the board can do to assist.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board members, do any of you have any questions for Ms. Smiley? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate everything that you're doing to help engage the community and the parents with everything that's going on in the district, so thank you. All right, item 1.8 is going to be a presentation from Pebble and Wagner, which is the board's attorney. So at this time, I would like to ask Donna Andrews and Chris to come on down, and the floor is yours. Do you need to give Jonathan your?
I have already.
Yes.
All right, great.
Thank you, Madam President. My name is Chris Williams. I'm an attorney with Pepple and Wagner. I was invited to come this evening to discuss with you some aspects of a proposed tax sharing agreement with the Village of Highland Hills relating to a proposed tax abatement that the village is considering offering to a prospective company that may be coming to your district. So if you could, I put a PowerPoint up on the screen. I'll be going through that, and at the end, if you have any questions, please let me know. Let me provide you the little background, the details of the proposed tax abatement. On May 18, 2016, Weston Incorporated and ABB Incorporated filed an application for what's called a Community Reinvestment Area Tax Abatement on a proposed project in the district. For that project, Weston proposes to spend approximately $20 million to construct a new 146,000 square foot facility, which would bring approximately 450 jobs in the first year of the new facility's operations to this district. And those jobs don't include the construction jobs, which would go along with the construction of that facility. Of the 450 jobs that would be brought to the village, they're expected to have an annual payroll of approximately $39.7 million, meaning that that's the payroll for those 450 jobs. That payroll is expected to generate a little under $1 million in local income tax per year, half of which would be received by the village. As an incentive for the project, in order to bring these jobs and the income tax and everything that comes along with it to the village, Weston ABB has requested a real property tax abatement of 50% on the real property revenue which would be derived from the new facility for 12 years. So that $20 million facility that they would be constructing, they're requesting an abatement of up to 50% over 12 years on the taxes they would pay, the property taxes they would pay on that facility. Assuming for purposes of this analysis that the property's market value, meaning the value that the county auditor puts upon that property, is equal to the amount of the construction. And it's not guaranteed it would be the same. It's up to the county to determine what the fair market value of that property is when they value it, but assuming to be the same, and using your current millage rate, meaning the rate of taxation for your school district alone for this property, the following is an estimate. And I stress that it's an estimate because there's a number of things we wouldn't know as you go forward in time. An estimate of the annual property taxes that would flow to the Board of Education from the construction of this property for each of the 12 years. So the first line says the estimated property taxes to the Warrensville Heights City School District without any tax abatement be approximately $531,000. And again, these are estimates. However, if the abatement is granted, it would be half of that, so 50% abatement over 12 years, meaning that the property tax you would receive instead would be $265,812. And again, these are property taxes you're not receiving today, but it would be half of what you otherwise would be entitled to if there was no abatement, meaning that, in the red, you would be losing approximately $265,000 a year in real property taxes because of that abatement every year for 12 years. And again, that number can go up and down depending upon the valuation of the property and depending upon if you have new levies that are passed that bring in greater tax amounts. So under Ohio law, the village has to then discuss with us tax sharing because of the amount of the abatement and because of the payroll that's being developed and the income taxes that will be generated on this property. What the village is proposing is that they grant Weston ABB the 12-year 50% tax abatement, as an incentive for them to come and build this facility in your district and in the village. Ohio law requires that the village attempt to negotiate this tax sharing agreement with the board to compensate the board for the property tax revenue, and again, it's about $265,800 per year that you would lose due to that property tax abatement each year for 12 years. In the agreement that the village has proposed, they've offered to pay the board the following: $20,000 per year, payable in quarterly installments from January 1, 2018 through December 31 of 2019. And as non-monetary compensation, the village would develop a program in its fire department to accept and employ no more than 2 qualified students per year who successfully graduate from your district's fire EMS program, provided, of course, that there are openings in the village fire department for such persons. So this has been their proposal to you to compensate you for the $265,000 lost per year. Under the statutory formula for compensating the Board of Education, if the board and the village are unable to negotiate a mutually agreeable arrangement or agreement between the two, within 6 months of the village's formal approval of the abatement to Weston, then under Ohio law, the village must compensate the board in accordance with what's provided under 5709.82 of the revised code. And what that provides is that the village would be required to annually pay the board an amount equal to 50% of the difference between the amount of taxes levied and collected by the village, which again is that roughly $495,000 a year estimated, on the payroll of the new employees, as well as any construction workers, which we don't know what the value of that payroll would be or how much tax would be collected, minus any infrastructure costs that the village incurs from this project. And infrastructure costs such as any new streets, street lights, sewers, things of that nature that are required in order to allow the company to put the facility in that they want to put in. So what do those numbers look like? Applying the information that we know at this time and making certain assumptions about payroll and income tax figures included in the application that Weston has provided, the following is an estimate of the compensation the board would be entitled to under Ohio law if there's not a different agreement reached with the village. 50% of the income taxes collected on the 450 new jobs would be approximately $247,500 in income taxes per year. You would add to that the 50% of the income taxes collected on the construction jobs, which of course we don't know, and we've asked the village for that information. We've not received that yet. And you would subtract from those two figures the annual infrastructure cost to the village, which again, we don't know what that would be at this point either, such that the estimate, again, two figures still unknown, but the estimate, at least at this point in time, would be approximately $247,500 you would be entitled to under Ohio law if there's not a different arrangement negotiated with the village. So to summarize these numbers, the estimated property taxes without an abatement, so again, if the property is built and is valued by the county at approximately $20,750,000 and there's no abatement that's granted under your current property tax rate, you would collect approximately $531,000 a year in real property taxes on that property. If the abatement is granted, that number goes down in half, meaning you only collect $265,000, meaning that you've lost property taxes from the abatement of roughly $265,000. Weigh that against what the income tax would be. 50% of the income taxes collected on the new jobs would be $247,500. You would add to that again the income taxes on the construction jobs, which you don't know what that number is. Subtract from that the infrastructure cost, meaning that the compensation under the statutory formula would be $247,500. At this point, the village has offered $20,000 per year and the creation of 2 positions within the fire department. The village is looking for the board to negotiate with them to discuss what kind of arrangement could be reached with respect to a tax sharing agreement. There are a number of factors that go into those kinds of negotiations, which I think any public entity is going to want to consider, such as the Village of Highland Hills is going to incur costs to their services as a result of this property going in that they have to pay for out of any income tax that they collect. There is the fact that this is an incentive in order for the company to come, the abatement has to be granted, and the village, in part, is be the one that's going to grant that abatement. And they're going to certainly look to make sure that they receive what they see as sufficient income. We don't know what the results of those negotiations might be, but it might be that, in their view, they might see that they need more than what 50% would be in order for this abatement to be financially worthwhile for them. And so they may be asking, as they have asked at this point, for the school district to take less than what is statutorily would be required to provide. They've only offered at this point $20,000, even though under the statute, $247,000, excuse me, would be what you would be entitled to. So one of the things that you will need to consider as these negotiations go forward is, are you willing to accept less than what the statutory amount would be in order to work with the village to bring the company in? Are there other types of non-monetary compensation? You know, they've offered, for example, the 2 positions in the fire department. Are there other forms of non-monetary compensation which could be provided? Are there other programs, joint recreation facilities, different types of things that creatively could be come up with between the parties to make this type of arrangement work? We don't know what any of that might be. We have just begun these discussions with the village, but we thought it important to at least bring you up to speed on what has been offered and what the Ohio law provides before starting those negotiations.
So, board members, do you have any questions? You've heard the presentation. Overall, what I'm hearing is that we are being offered $20,000 out of the $265,000 that we are, correct? Is it 265?
Or 247.
247 that we'd be entitled to, 265,000 we're losing because of the real property tax abatement.
Okay, so of the 247, all right, so 20,000 out of 247. So this is what's on the table, and we're going to have to make a decision as a board collectively if we find that acceptable. So I'm going to let you guys go first, and it's just comments at this time. We're not asking. We are not making a decision at this
Today.
time. So
Okay.
if you have questions for clarification, then please go right ahead. Or if you need a minute, Mr. Jolly, is there anything that you want to say at this time?
No.
I have a question for you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
The 20 million, that's just an estimate for the building of that building,
Correct.
that structure, right?
Correct. That's, Weston provided that in their application to the city as the estimate of the construction costs. And that's what I've used to base upon an estimate of the value of the property. That may vary depending upon how the auditor actually values that property.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this $20,000 that they are offering us, is that just the initial offer?
That would be my hope.
Oh, okay. That would be my hope as well. Okay. So we have 6 months to negotiate with Highland Hill, is that correct?
They've actually not formally, as I understand it, they've not formally adopted the agreement yet. So that 6-month ticker has not started.
Okay, so
They're-
actually, they're waiting on the board to make a decision as to the amount that we are willing to accept.
My understanding is, yes, my understanding is that they are trying to, as it were, pre-negotiate with us to know what would we want so that they can evaluate, do they want to grant the abatement to Weston or not?
Oh, okay.
Also, Chris, under the Ohio Revised Code, if we don't come to a conclusion with the village, then our statute goes under the Ohio Revised Code, and we are getting our fair share as a school district,
That's
correct?
correct. It'd be the 50% amount of $247,500. Again, an estimate based upon
I
what we
got you.
understand the
I got you.
payroll to be.
All right, thank you.
Do you have anything, Tracy?
I'm just trying to figure out how did they come up with the 20,000?
I don't know. I'm not sure how they derived that figure.
I'll do it. When me and Dr. Rock met with Highland, that was a portion of their property taxes that they would receive. I think it was the whole property tax that they would receive from the property.
Is that because of the abatement?
Yes. So part of their abated property taxes, they were going to give to us, which was 20,000.
So is there abatement amount, is it 40 and they're splitting it 50/50?
Yes.
Okay. And that's for just a 12-year period?
Yes.
And then after the 12-year period, it will go up to whatever the normal,
The agreement is for 12 years, so after that, it will adjust to the normal rate. We will receive our full portion.
At that point, the abatement lifts and the property tax would be paid in full by the property owner rather than only paying half of them.
And the reason that the number's so different, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, is the millage for Highland Hills is a lot lower. The tax rate is a lot lower. So their collection on real estate revenue on that $20 million would be $40,000, I'm sorry. So they would collect about 40,000, whereas our millage is higher. And we're gonna collect more, but that's our revenue it's the bread and butter revenue for the district is real estate revenue. We don't get income tax revenue. So it's the reverse. You know, when you're a city, you get income tax revenue is the larger revenue source for the city, or exempted village or township. Well, not a township.
I have another question. So the millage, the impact of the tax abatement, is that on the property
Correct.
taxes? So with the personal income taxes, would that be impacted by this?
There's no abatement on the income taxes. Those are paid by the workers.
So that's paid by the workers, and that comes to the district and to the village as it should?
Well, that comes to the village, and under the statute, we would be looking to share that income tax to compensate us for the real property taxes that we've lost from the abatement.
One more question. And I might be off. You was telling me that they're offering us 20, they're going to get 20. Well, where's the other 207,000 is going?
The 20,000 is their real property taxes.
Okay.
They're still getting their income tax, and the estimated income tax was going to be approximately $495,000 to them.
Okay.
And that's what they're not, well, that's under the statute, at least that's what they would have to share if we don't reach an agreement and they grant the abatement.
All right. Okay. And then, Heather, did you have any questions? No, you go first, because I'm gonna probably wrap it up, so I'm gonna let you go first, and then we'll wrap it up.
Where is the property located?
Is and Dr. Ock or Mr.
Green Road and Harvard.
Green and Harvard.
Corner.
Putting range is up there on Green Road? I'm pretty sure that's where it is.
That is where it's
Yeah,
at.
where the
Yeah.
putting range is.
What type of incentive will there be for residents as far as you're saying jobs? What type of jobs are going to be on that area? And are there incentives that's going to go back towards the residents, students, parents, or whomever of the city?
The village probably could better answer that question. I know the types of jobs are, it's a manufacturing facility for switches. And so these are technical jobs. I'm not sure if there's incentives that they're offering to the village, that there will be a certain number of jobs offered to the community or not. If they are, if that information exists, the village would have it. They've not provided it to us.
So on the $40,000, it is half of what the real estate revenue that they would be getting. So if we started, if there was no abatement, we would be getting $531,000 in taxes. Estimated, and Highland Hills would be getting approximately almost $80,000, it seems like. But now with an abatement, they will get $40,000 in real estate revenue, on real estate taxes, and then they were offering us 20 of that, so Mr. Jolly's right, it is half.
Is the 500,000 split up over 12 years, or is that all in 1 year?
Annually.
That's annual.
All right, so this is where I'm getting confused. We're talking two different things. The $40,000 and then half of that, the 20,000, is something totally different. That's property
Correct.
tax?
Correct, that's property
Yes.
tax,
That's
real
what's
estate
being
tax.
paid.
That
And
the
property
owner of the company pays, owner of the property pays on their property, based upon the value of their property and the millage rate, the tax rate of the village.
Okay. So what's being offered is 50% of the property tax.
That's my understanding, yes.
All right, and then, so the 247 then, that's just off the table? Is that doesn't come to us at all? Is that what I'm understanding? But
Well,
technically it should? Is that what I'm hearing?
Under Ohio law, because we're losing in real property taxes we would be losing $265,000 a year if the abatement is granted, we're entitled to be compensated for that out of the income tax from the payroll of the new workers that go to that facility. That income tax that goes to Highland Hills is approximately $495,000. Under Ohio law, we get half of that income tax. So that's where the 247 comes from. Is half of the 495 is 247,500.
And what I'm hearing is what they're saying is, all we want to give you is the 20,000 and let us keep the remainder. Is that it?
That's been the offer thus far.
Okay, so, let me just, does anybody else have any questions or comments? Because that was kind of the way I understood it.
I do,
I
so,
have
so.
one more too. Go ahead.
So we do have room then to negotiate with the village on the personal taxes.
That would be my hope, yes.
So that we can at least bring the district whole, because of some of the projects that the district is trying to do for the students across all three communities that go to the district.
And one of the things that I would do is I would work with Dr. Rock and Mr. Jolly in making sure that we negotiate a deal with the village that meets the interests of the Board of Education, as I discussed with Mr. Jolly and Dr. Rock.
We understand the importance of continuing to bring business in. It will impact all the Tri-Cities as a whole. However, the district also is under, I don't want to say under fire, but we need new buildings. We have other projects that are in desperate need right now. And so we have to, figure out what's going to be best for us, for the children, as we work to move the district forward. So if we have room to negotiate on the personal taxes, I would hope that would be our goal. Mr. Rock, you may have a question.
Yes. Is there a benchmark for when you're doing an abatement with the payroll after it goes over a certain amount, then it's statutory? Is there?
Yes, there is a benchmark. So it's not, every time an abatement's granted for a business that comes in and builds a facility, not every single business has to share the income tax. There has to be at least $1 million in payroll, new employee payroll, before you reach that threshold of sharing the income tax. So if you have someone that comes in and they build a small 3-employee shop that's generating maybe $150,000 in payroll a year, they're not gonna, the village is gonna share that income tax. It's only your larger projects like this one where you reach that benchmark of $1 million in payroll or more, where then there's an obligation under the statute to try to reach an agreement on sharing the income tax.
Okay. Any other comments from our board members about this? So let me just say, actually, Member Mitchell pretty much hit on some of my concerns. As a district, we also have a lot of things that are going on. My gut instinct says that's just not acceptable for us to just not at least try to negotiate, because we do need new buildings. We have a fiscal responsibility to the community to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to bring the district whole. So at this point, what I would say is we would really like for our attorneys to continue working with Highland to see if there's something more that we can do in terms of coming up with negotiating some type of agreement, whether it's in programs, monetary, but in my gut instinct says, from what I'm hearing, that the $20,000 out of the additional money that could come to the district that desperately needs the money just as much as the city does, is not going to be acceptable. And if anybody wants to chime in on that, if they feel as though, then please do. But at this point, what I would like to say is please reach back out to Highland, get whatever additional information it is that you need to fill in the blanks there, so that we can move forward. I know that Highland has, time constraints as well, and they need to get a move on this. So it's not something that we want to drag our feet on. And we definitely want to maintain a good relationship with Highland Hills. That's important to us to continue to have a good working relationship and effectively collaborate. So I think that would be your marching orders, if I could say it that way. And we appreciate your presentation today.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank
board
you.
members.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay. So item 1.9 is going to be superintendent's updates. At this time, I would like to give the floor to Superintendent Jolly. He's got some very important news to share with everyone. So go right ahead, Mr. Jolly.
Good evening,
Good evening.
community. I'd like to share a few items, and then I want to talk about our report card that came out last week. I would like to explain some things and help people get a lot of clarity about where we're going. But today, I'd like to announce we had our Fathers Walk today at all our schools, district schools. We had over 215 fathers walk their their child to school today, which was outstanding this morning. Also on Saturday, our band came in first place at the Shaw Battle of Bands. Kudos to Mr. Keaton. On last Tuesday, our Fire Academy was on Channel 19 News. They were highlighted. It was an outstanding highlight of them and their accomplishments so far moving forward. On Friday, they went to Tri-C Western Campus, where they'll be attending next year to complete the Fire Academy. Also, last week, we were the Fox 8 Game of the Week. We had over 1,500 people at our game, an outstanding game. We did lose, but it was an outstanding game last week. And then currently, our football team is rated number 9 in the state of Ohio in Division 5. And also like to announce we had 16 scholars attend the Black Physicians Breakfast at South Point Hospital. We have an Inspiring Doctors program here at the high school, and we are really working hard to get our students acclimated to those careers. So those are some announcements I'd just like to share with the community and the board. But what's important today is to talk about our report card. I'll first like to say that as a district, we totally own the report card. I mean, the report card is what it was. It said all Fs. We own it. We are working very hard to change it. But I do want to say there's a lot of factors that's involved with the report card, and we'll be sharing those factors today, why things evolved to that point. There's also some new data that was derived that came out today that shows that we're growing, and that the factors that involved in this really hindered us and other districts. So across the state, a lot of superintendents have been talking about the report card. The superintendent of the state of Ohio stated that I hope that communities would keep these results in perspective, that they will gauge the quality of their districts not only by what they see on the report cards, but the other information about what's happening in schools and with students. The report card is just one measure of a school's performance. We should not lose sight of the other measures that have value. That's the state superintendent. Becky Higgins, president of Ohio Education Association, states that seemingly low performance for many districts should ring an alarm bell that our current school accountability system is deeply flawed and needs to be scrapped. Shannon Cox of the Montgomery County Educational Center, she states, What's all really happening here is that schools are being judged by finish lines that keep moving and the rules keep changing. But there's a problem. When the finish line keeps shifting, it's misleading to say the runners, which are our students, are running hard or aren't running hard or well. And the final one, the Akron area superintendent states it's difficulty to utilize a report card that is constantly changing document made up of flawed components. The report card does not consistently measure how local school districts are actually performing. I wanted to put those in my presentation because I've been telling people a long time that these have been issues with the report card and how it reports and how it's unfavorable to districts like ours. So the Ohio report card has 6 components. It has an achievement component, a progress component, a gap closing component, a graduation rate component, K-3 literacy component, and a prepare for success component. The achievement component is the report card that represents the student performance on state tests that meets the established thresholds and how well students performed on the test. On this test, they changed what the bench lines were for achievement. The progress is the component that looks closely at the growth of all students are making based on their past performance. So last year, in the progress area, the district received an A. Eastwood received an A. The middle school received an A. We had the same teachers and the same students, and this year received an F. It doesn't make sense. The gap closing. The gap closing component shows how well schools are meeting the performance expectations for the most vulnerable population students in English, arts, math, and graduation. The graduation rate looks at the percent of students who are successfully finishing high school with a diploma in 4 or 5 years. So that measure starts when kids start in 9th grade, so whatever the cohort is in 9th grade, that's the cohort that has to stay intact for 4 continuous years. I will be able to describe how sometimes how that affected us in later slides. KC literacy rate is a component that looks at how successful schools is at getting struggling readers on track and to proficiency in 3rd grade and beyond. But that really starts in kindergarten. That starts when kids start school. Are they ready when they start school? And that's one of the struggles that we have in our district is that our students are not ready when they come. And that's something that, as we roll our plan out to accomplish this goal, that we will address. And the final one is prepare for success. That's where the training and technical fields are preparing for work or college. The prepare for success component looks at how well prepared Ohio students are for all future opportunities. So that's college entrance exam, ACT, honors, diploma, industry recognized credential, advanced placement tests, IB, and College Credit Plus. And many of those items later on I'll share that we've started to implement. So today, in the Plain Dealer, it was released today, in an article written by Patrick O'Donnell, he stated that the reason behind the state scores were explained. He stated in the article, and I did have the article on the table, if anyone wants the article. He says that our district, and it was 5 others, dropped on state scores because the state changed the standard. So they raised the standard, which caused us to drop. If it was the same standard as last year, we wouldn't have received enough. It also stated that our district is moving forward and closing the gap to the state average. So the state average, we were behind the state average, that's acknowledged, but it stated that we are moving toward that state average, which shows growth. It also states that our school district is one of the biggest gainers in the state in closing the gap. So that's, again, indicates that it's showing growth that's not reflected in our report card. But key to this, the report card, the article states that grades are related to wealth, income, and poverty levels, which I will share later, but it's the reality. Once we look at it, the high 10 performing districts, you'll see exactly what I'm discussing. And test scores are consistently higher in more affluent districts and lower for those with higher poverty rates. So I just wanted to show the top 10 districts and some important information when we're talking about educating students. These are the top 10 districts that's on the report card currently. And as you can see, the special ed population in most of these districts is under Beechwood is at the highest at 12.8%. The African American population is under 15% in each one. And the mobility rate, this is what goes to your graduation rate. All of them are less than 10%. In the bottom 10 districts, as you can see, the special ed populations are all well over 20 in most. Some of them, the bigger districts are a little smaller. The African American population and some of the lowest, East Cleveland and us are predominantly African American. And the mobility rate is 23%. So when I explain the mobility rate, that is students are here for an entire school year. When they're moving, that means they're less than the entire school year. So 23%, almost 24% of our students are not here for a full calendar year. So that equates to high school, that equates to K-3 literacy, that equates across the board. Our kids don't stay the entire year. So that makes it very difficult to educate them. And they're moving, and that affects our graduation rate. So these are factors that when people discuss report cards and discuss scores, that no one puts out in front of the community or public so that people can see that we have a real challenge that we have to face in achieving where we need to go. I believe that we are on our way, and I'll describe some of the ways that we are. But this is the facts. This is not an excuse. This is not to say we can't do it. But this is the reality that we're up against, that the test changed 3 times in 3 years. They raised the bar on the test, and we started the race behind. And that's our pre-K, and it starts with our pre-K, and where our pre-K, our kids who come to school ready or not ready. And in our case, and in a lot of cases of the districts that's on this board here, the kids don't come with the prerequisite skills they need for kindergarten. So before we even knew what the report card was, we identified last year a lot of gaps in our district, and we knew that we had to make changes. So these are all the changes that we made without even looking at the report card, because we knew that we had to set a solid foundation for our district. You can't build a house without a foundation. And no disrespect to anybody been here before, but we have to reestablish our foundation to ensure that we can grow and that our growth is sustained regardless of who's the superintendent, who's on the board, who's in the seats, that we are continuing to grow in a continuous way. So that's what we're doing this year, and last year, and this year we are establishing a foundation. So one of the things we did is hire the secondary academic coordinator to ensure that our high school is aligned to what the state standards are. In the past, we didn't have that. We didn't have someone focused on our high school, ensuring that our credits are correct, our graduation cohort is intact, making sure that we have those higher level courses, we have those relationships with our post-secondary partners. That's what that person here to do, is that progress measure on the report card. Their job is to improve that. We hired 4 new school administrators. 3 of our schools have new principals this year. Our middle school has a whole new administrative team. We hired a full-time gifted teacher. We didn't have a gifted teacher here in last year or the year before. So this person is primarily focused on ensuring that our gifted students' needs are met. Oftentimes, our gifted students will leave us because we did not address their needs. We hire full-time guidance counselors for all 4 buildings. So all 4 buildings have a guidance counselor. Due to the poverty that exists in our buildings, our kids need assistance. They need guidance counselors to help them, and we have guidance counselors at all 4 buildings. We hired more than 20% new staff. Over 2 years, it's 33%. So a third of our staff has been replaced in 2 years. Last year, 15, we replaced, I think, 20 teachers. This year, 27. Implemented suspension alternatives. So instead of suspending students out of school, we have our in-school suspension rooms to keep them here. Increase inclusionary settings for our scholars with disabilities. When you have 23% special needs, when they take tests, if they're not in the regular classes getting exposed to the regular curriculum, they're not going to pass. So this year, we've done a lot of inclusion. In high school, our special needs students are in classes with the regular ed students across all 4 buildings. We increased professional development opportunities for our teaching staff. That was with the support of the board. Our calendar was changed so that we have more opportunities for our teachers to be professionally development. Reassign staff to teach in the areas of strength. So there's our second grade team is different at John Dewey. Our fourth grade team is different at Eastwood. We made changes. Our third grade team is a little different at Eastwood. We changed where people teach, put them in areas of strength so that they could be successful. We replaced nearly 75% of the central administration staff. So the whole administration staff is new with the exception of 2 people. So we've made monumental changes across the board. At our elementary school, we've added full-time math intervention teachers. These are Title I teachers who take students who are below, who don't have the skills necessary, and they do pull-outs to assist them in catching up. We developed 5th grade teachers to cover one subject based on areas of strength. So our 5th grade team is made up like a middle school team where we found our teachers were strong in English. Excuse me, we had teachers strong in science, and they teach by departments, which benefits our students. We partner with the Literacy Cooperative to offer the STEP program to grades 1 through 3 for reading support. So this is additional support for our early childhood students, where our high school students will be tutoring our grades 1 to 3 students. Last year, we had this program and 100% of the students improved their literacy. And then we partnered with the Warrensville Heights Library to offer 1, 2, 3 reads, which was an after-school targeted program targeting our 3rd graders, which we will bus our 3rd graders to the library. The library has a literacy program, which they will be helping us with our 3rd graders in their testing and their reading. At the high school, we added a full-time math intervention teacher. So that at the high school now we have a teacher who helps our students in Algebra 1, which is the testing grade. So when they're behind, we have someone to catch them up immediately. We collaborated with the Colgan Community College to create the Healthcare Academy. This is our first year for that. We have 16 students enrolled. The professors from Tri-C come to Warrensville High School and teach the class. So they come here every day to teach our students. We created the Fire EMS Academy, which I discussed earlier, in which we have 8 students enrolled to that. We also have a young lady that's enrolled, one of our students. We established 4 advanced placement courses at the high school. We'll be looking to expand that. Implemented a new college curriculum, which is college preparatory mathematics, that started in the high school last year, and now it's at the middle school. For our honors courses, we bought Springboard, which is a pre-AP curriculum, which our honors students have. We partner with Project Lead the Way, which is a STEM-based pre-engineering curriculum and program. That program is in our middle school and high school. So this is our first year with Project Lead the Way in our middle school. They started with our 8th graders, and then we have our high school, and each year we build a new course. We transitioned our 8th graders back to the middle school. Looking at our data, when our 8th graders were here, they did not do well at all, socially or academically. And at the middle school this year, we are seeing some more maturity out of our 8th graders, more participation on our sports teams by our 8th graders, and they seem to be very more engaged than they were when they were here at the high school. Other measures that show our success but that weren't included on the report card is that 98% promotion rate amongst our 3rd graders. We only had two 3rd graders who did not make it to the 4th grade. So when you look at the report card, it's going to say 20% or 30%, but the state allows other measures for you to promote your students, and 98% of ours went to the 4th grade. 95% graduation rate among the seniors who started in the fall of 2015. We only have 2 left that did not make it. We had a 100% increase in number of students taking AP tests. We went from 0 to 54. So we didn't have anybody take any tests in the years past, and now we have 54 on this past year. And then supplemental programs, and when I say this is all the things we've done since June 2015. The 1, 2, 3 reads, The ACE mentoring program, alumni Arian Kirkpatrick brought this program to her, which is a construction trades mentoring program for our high school students. Mr. Nevin Jenkins, a teacher here at the high school, leads that. With our students, they go to work sites, they're in competition with other 8 high schools on the development of construction and mechanic programs. Camp Lead is a summer program. Last summer, we sent 25 students to that. A great leadership program. The mayor co-sponsored our students going to the program, in which it was a week worth of exposure to our community in different industries in our community. I talked a little bit about the Aspiring Doctors program that is with Ohio University, in which we have 100 ninth graders who would be exposed to the program that will be part of the experience at the college. And then each year 30 other students, our sophomores, 30 sophomores, 30 juniors and seniors have an opportunity to do that. College Credit Plus, again, that's program for any student that's interested in taking college credits at Tri-C. We are attempting to expand that, and it can go all the way down to 7th grade. And if we have a 7th grader who can go, we'll send them. College Now, Greater Cleveland, that is a program we partner with, and that was here before, so that wasn't anything we bought here, but that's a program that helps students prepare for college, fill out their FAFSA, expose them to different opportunities. Our fine arts opportunities, we had hip-hop dance last year, our drama, and so forth. Our Progressive Arts Alliance, which we bought last year, is a partnership that infuses STEM with arts and dance. Our Sparks program is one of our first attempts with the county to engage students who are not in preschool and daycare. So actually people go, the Sparks counselors go to homes of students who are not in daycare and help them read. And then our STEP program. So our goals and our challenges are to expand our AP and Career Tech offerings. Our plan is for every student who comes into the high school that they have the opportunity to declare a major of interest, and then we have a pathway for them to go to college or to go straight to work. So that's what we're working on. We're looking at possibly HVAC next year. We're also looking at really establishing a associate's degree program where students can earn their associate's degree before they graduate. We already had a leeway in with our Health Careers Academy, but we're working hard. Increasing our participation rate among scholars who take the ACT and SAT. Last year, I think we were at 44%. This year, we're looking to get 100% of them to take the test. And then increase our reading and math achievement by 7% each year. I know that seems low, 7%. Our goal is 50%, but we wanted to be reasonable in what we say. But ultimately, our principal could tell you that our expectation is that we improve by 50%. Our challenges, one of them is charter school accountability. And that, when I say charter school accountability, that goes to our money. And when kids go to charter schools, us recouping our money back when they move outside of the district. We have a serious issue when students go to the charter schools and then they move outside of the district. We attempt to get our money, but we have a lot of issues in recouping our money. So we've been working with our council in trying to recoup our money back from these charter schools, because kids come here and then they transit, they're part of that 23%, they go to the charter, and then we track them down because they still try to ride our buses, and we find out they don't go here, and then we try to get the money back, and we run into issues. Lack of 21st century learning environments. We were on the news 2 weeks ago because of the heat. It's just entirely too hot in our buildings. The only building that has air conditioning is the high school. We don't have the latest technology. We are piecemealing it. And if you do look at those top 10 districts, they all have state-of-the-art facilities. So it's very hard for a kindergarten to learn in a room that's 87 degrees. And it was 87 degrees. So this year we bought water. We had to buy water coolers for all 3 schools that we have to keep replenishing for students to stay hydrated. As I said earlier, staff turnover is a challenge. As I said, we replaced 33% of the staff in 2 years, and that's an issue. We have to keep our people. We have to keep and retain our people. And school readiness, and that is something that we will be tackling in the next few weeks very seriously. In order for us to turn this around, we got to start at John Dewey with our kindergarten. It's so crucial that we start there because we're starting the race behind. And basically what's happening to us is that we're trying to catch up every year. So in essence, the kindergarten curriculum now, the kindergarten curriculum now used to be the pre-K. The pre-K curriculum, let me get it right, Roxanne. Well, you get it right. About the pre-K curriculum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The standards.
Okay.
Right.
So when we adopted when the state adopted the Common Core, and then they recently just updated the pre-kindergarten standards, the new early learning standards. So if you look at the old kindergarten Ohio academic content standards, so prior to Common Core, and ELA and math, you will see those same standards or very similar standards in the new pre-kindergarten Ohio learning standards. So everything that used to be expected in kindergarten is now expected in pre-K. So if our students are not going to preschool, pre-kindergarten, they are already behind coming into kindergarten, even though preschool is not even mandatory.
So in a nutshell, our kids are not coming ready in kindergarten. So what we're doing is playing catch up. So we're teaching them pre-K in kindergarten, then we're teaching them first grade in kindergarten. I mean, you see what I'm saying? That's what's happening. And that is something that we have to address as a community. It's no fault of anybody. We have to have our daycares in line to make sure that our kids are prepared. Our pre-K have to make sure that our kids are prepared. But that's how this changes. The whole system changes when we address the babies. The babies have to come ready. If they're ready, the rest of it will take care of itself. So we're looking at this two-prong. We're looking at the pre-K, and then we're looking at the high school to try to ensure that the kids in the high school have opportunities to go and grow. But we want to make sure that our babies have the skills they need before they start school so that our kindergarten teachers can teach the kindergarten curriculum and we are on target. The difference between us and other affluent places is that the kindergartners come ready. If they're at home with their mother, she preparing them. If they're at the daycare, I know because I paid it, you pay $1,000, they're ready. That's not the case in a lot of our pre-Ks in our community. Last, I'd like to announce the State of the Schools address, which will be October 25th at South Point Hospital. And we will, at that meeting, roll out our new strategic plan that the board is working on and our vision for the future. This time, I'll open to any questions.
Do any of the board members have any questions or comments about Mr. Jolly's update? His report on the report card?
Well, I'm disappointed about the report card, but Mr. John, I'm very impressed about all of your ideas and concept that you bring into the school. The only thing that I'm going to ask is regarding the balance of classes. You know how sometimes you walk into a class and there's 5 students, and then you walk into another class and there's 25 students? Are you working on that to balance? Because sometimes it's very difficult to teach 25 when you have a class right down the hall with 5. And I think that's something that we need to really look at, because if we moving ahead, we actually need to look at class sizes.
I totally agree. I know we did a lot of balancing at the high school. I do know some of the classes are small, and I'll say which those are like the upper level classes, like the AP calculus. I think it's 7 in that class. So some of the upper level classes are smaller, but we definitely will make sure that we leveled out. I know at John Dewey and our elementary schools are leveled out as much as they can. Okay. At the high school, they've been addressing it, and I'm pretty sure if they haven't addressed it, they will.
Do any of the board members have any comments at all about Mr. Jolly's report?
I would just like to thank you for the hard work that you've put in since you've been on board here. It is a challenge, and we all knew coming on and joining that it was not going to be a race that would be won by the swift. It's going to be a race that's going to be won by the steady. And we're going to have to continue to work together and stay focused on our task as we bring the programs into place that's going to elevate the programs for our children. And just to continue to keep our educators encouraged and focused on the task at hand.
Thank you.
I'd also like to say to you, Mr. Jolly, I mean, me and you came in the same year, but as far as other components of our district, and I've been around in different seminars, disparities of equity is relevant in an actual urban school district. And we are facing those challenges economically, financially, and emotionally. And we have to step up, and we do have, like Ms. Smiley said, get the parents involved, but we have to get involved ourselves. So I want to give you kudos, but we got brighter days ahead of us.
And I do want to say that we're open to solutions. I know a lot of people have a lot of comments about what goes wrong, but we're open to solutions. If anyone has a better way to do something, we're open to it. This is very hard work. We are changing culture. We are trying to establish foundations. We're trying to grow with a finish line that keeps moving continuously, and we need people who solution driven. And I'm open to anybody with a solution. My door is open. People, parents, community people. I talk to everybody. We're open to solutions. What we need is everyone to rally behind the schools, and that's my big. My big cry to the community is rally behind us and not be against us, because we're here to make a difference. We're here to make our district the best. I know some people say we haven't promoted no athletics since I've been here, except for last week. But we've been promoting all our programs that we bring in here that betters our students. Anything that I bring here, most of it wasn't here when I was a student at all. I didn't have these opportunities that we bring in here for the students here. So the goal is to make this a better place, way better place than when I came. And that's where I just ask the community to continue to support us. The report card was troubling. I really didn't sleep for the whole week because it's upsetting to see. I never failed at stuff, so it's upsetting to see that. But I know that we putting in the work. And today, it's like God dropped an article at 3 o'clock to say we growing. Because I believe that in my heart from day one, because I see the changes in the teachers. I see people working hard. I see the effort in our students. And that article verified that.
One other question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out, how do the state grade us with 23% special ed, whereas Beechwood has 2.9. How do they do that?
So it goes back to what I said, when kindergarten, that's when the race start. So when the race start in kindergarten, there is no other factors that's involved. Nobody care. You got to get to the finish line. Nobody care about.
So they're not looking at the difference.
No, nobody care about homelessness, none of that. Don't nobody care. At the end of the line, we got to get here. So that's our challenge, is to get here. No excuses. Everybody working together. We bring the things together, and we get there. Because the state, no one wanted to hear. When the plain dealer put that out in the paper, they didn't put none of the other stuff behind it. They wanted to cause the division that they did. They wanted people to say that these schools are bad and that these group of kids don't know nothing. That was the goal of it. Because the state superintendent clearly said before the report card came out that it shouldn't be used that way. And they did it anyway. So that was the goal. It was accomplished. People made their decisions. People became critical and said what they had to say without knowing the facts. And that's what I'm here to do, is just to give people the facts. People can take them, interpret them, but the facts are the facts. The report card ratings are based on wealth. They are down the line, and our district did show growth. So those are the facts.
I have several things. I need to know what the plan is. I know we're working on a strategic plan, but that's not an academic plan. And the accountability actually starts with the board. The board, we have to be accountable to the people who put us in office to ensure that our kids are being educated, and that's why we hire the superintendent and the treasurer. But I need to know, what is the academic plan? I saw all the programs that's come out there, but programs are not gonna pass the kids. And I got this in the mail, and actually, I would encourage any and everybody can get one. Board members, yours should have came in the mail today, if not yesterday. But it's called the Guide to 2016 Ohio State Report Cards, and it explains each individual thing that's on the report card. And looking at that, it deeply concerns me that we went from good grades to bad grades, and with an interim that we had here, and how an interim could bring the district to A's, and then we, as a board, we put all of these programs in place, we hire all these people that we say are going to get the job done, and as a result, it didn't get the job done. So I'm all for coming up with a solution, a plan to educate our kids, but we have to take onus as a board. My second thing is that I had called the Department of Education, and I just wanted to know from you, Mr. Jolly, this is not to beat up on you or anything, I'm just asking questions. They stated that the district was told about the changes before school started. Were you not aware of that, of the changes that was going to take place?
We knew the standards changed, yes.
Okay, so you knew before school started.
We knew the changes changed. We didn't know what the test looked like, though.
Okay. Has anybody ever thought about teaching the grade as opposed to teaching the test? There's always so much emphasis on the test and making sure our kids pass the test. But if we focus on teaching the grade, then the test will come naturally, because like we talked about the other day in one of our workshops, how there is test anxiety for kids,
Yeah.
you know, and how they're when you say you have to pass this test and there's so much pressure put on them to pass a test. If we focus on teaching the grade and teaching the course at hand as they take tests along the way, to me, it will make things a little more easier. I mean, that's just me, and that's just my experience with my children and with my family. But everybody learns differently, but I'm just talking about teaching the grade. There's another thing. The counselors, you mentioned about the counselors. They were always full-time, correct?
We didn't have one for every school.
We just had some for the high school.
We had one that shared in 2 buildings.
But the high school had all theirs, but the other buildings, they shared. Okay.
Yeah, they shared.
Okay, I'm just trying to,
Can I address your question about the report card, though?
Oh, sure.
I just explained why the report card was not good. I did share that all the superintendents in the state shared the same sentiment. So, I mean, I hear you, but I think I explained it very well.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
is there a plan in place for special ed?
Yes, so special ed is in inclusion this year. Last year, they were in self-contained classes, so we almost have full inclusion this year. You asked what the academic plan is. We have our scope and sequence. We have our short cycle assessments that's tied to our scope and sequence. We have our intervention teachers to assist students who are not achieving at the levels they should. And the rest of the plan will be rolled out soon. But we are executing our academic plan as we speak.
Okay. You talked about the College Now that was up there.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been a plan put in place to get it out to parents? Over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking to a lot of parents about the things that are coming up, and no one still seems to be aware of the fact that their child can get a waiver to take these ACTs and SATs. No one appears to be aware of the Common App that's out here that their child can apply to up to 15 schools and not have to pay that application fee. So it's wonderful College Now is coming in, but until they come in, is there a plan to get the word out?
So on October 4th, Ms. McDowell will have her senior meeting with all senior parents. Also in her correspondence home, she will be corresponding at October 4th. Is that correct, Ms. McDowell? Senior meeting?
Is that going to also be for juniors also?
No, it's to be seniors only at that meeting. What's your the plan for the juniors?
We actually have, rolling out meetings for all of our scholars, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. Also, have challenged the school counselors, rather than have them split our scholars and by alphabet, they actually split them by grades. And so, we also have a way that we're gonna contact parents weekly, quarterly, monthly, whatever it takes before they fail. So they are charged to do that. We will be meeting monthly with our counselors, also with our scholars to share the data with them, because there's a big gap there. There's a lot of teaching going on, and the scholars don't know what's going on with their own data. And so all of this is going out now. We've actually just wrote a plan, and so it actually starts October 4th when we meet with the senior parents. But we plan to do that on every grade level, 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Okay.
The other three grades.
All right, thank you.
First set of meetings are tomorrow, 9th grade meets third period, 11th grade will meet 9th, and then we're going to meet 11th grade, 10th period. We've already met with our seniors.
And my final question, I know that there's a possible consideration for a bond levy to build schools, but in the meantime, if there was a concern about air conditioning and heating and whatnot, do we not have money in permanent improvement where we could have possibly looked into portable air conditioners for these buildings until that occurred? Or is the plan just to try to save the money in hopes that the bond levy passes and use that money towards that?
Well, the heat issue is one. I don't think we ever had heat in any air conditioning in our buildings. Last year, I do not recall it being that major of an issue. We didn't. It wasn't that bad of an issue last year. So this year it did come up. We have made an estimate to see how much it would cost to put air conditioning in Eastwood and John Dewey and the middle school. Mr. Folkman has he has it, so we'll be looking into it, see how much it costs.
Is that for portable or central air?
No, they're for portable. They're for portable. The investment in central air we would not make because of our plan to build new.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm going to wrap this up if the board doesn't mind. Let me just kind of say a few things here. I thought it was important that Mr. Jolly addressed the report card. When it came out, you know, social media was all abuzz. People in the streets were talking about it. You know, we got Fs, what are we doing? And normally I don't respond on social media, but I did put a simple response out that just basically said, what you're seeing does not reflect the work that our teachers, that our administrators, Mr. Jolly, even this board has put in. Our students work their butts off. And unfortunately, what ends up coming out is, what are you guys doing? You guys are getting Fs on everything. So I think that, you know, that does something to the students as well. So I thought it was important that Mr. Jolly take as much time as he needed to address what's really going on in education today. As a board, at least I know I speak with Mr. Jolly daily. I know there's other members that speak with him daily. We question him. We challenge him, you know, but at the end of the day, we encourage him to bring to the board and to the meetings a recommendation based on his level of expertise. He is the CEO. We acknowledge that there's still things that need to be done to improve the district, but I'm gonna raise my hand and say, you know what, we're doing everything that we can right now, and we're gonna keep pushing through it. Let me just say this. If you are a teacher or an administrator in the district right now, would you please stand? So we've got a new teacher here, brand new teacher. We've got Mrs. Womack here. They deserve our praise. So on behalf of the Board of Education, I want to thank you for the work that you do every day on behalf of the students and the community of the Warrensville Heights City School District. Your job is a thankless job when you've got newspapers coming out stating that we're making Fs on everything. And it's like Mr. Jolly said, you know, we went from an A to an F, but they changed the grade, the test. So there's a reason why we're struggling. And we're going to continue to push and to question and to challenge and to really make Mr. Jolly think, is this the right path you want to take? You know, is there a better way to do it? And that's what I do on a regular basis. I know Ray speaks to him on a regular basis. Tracy calls. I think we all reach out to you on a regular basis and challenge you to continue doing the best for our district. So as everyone has said here, we want to thank you for the work that you're doing. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep holding you accountable because that's what we're supposed to do. And I want to say to the community, do the same. You know, if you've got questions like he said, if you've got suggestions, please reach out to Mr. Jolly or myself or any of the board members. Share what your thoughts are, your concerns, ideas to do things better. And we do want to thank all of you for your support. Seeing so many faces out here means a lot. We know that you guys are behind us, and we're doing everything that we can to move this district forward. So thank you again, Mr. Jolly, and we are going to move this right along. 1.0 is public participation, and just real quick, because we've got so many people here, I would first... Yeah, it's 3 minutes for public participation. I know we have several cards, but we've got all of the members here from Highland Hills. If I could ask all of the city council members and the mayor to please stand from Highland Hills. We just want you to know that we do appreciate your support. We do want to work with you, and we will. So Mayor Nash is here. We also have from the city of Warrensville, we've got Councilman Howard is here. Would you please stand? Do I have any other council members here from Warrensville? Who pointed? Oh, I know we have the mayor. I couldn't miss the mayor. Well, we've got Mayor Sellers here.
I think that's it for me.
Is that it? Okay, so I just wanted to acknowledge that you guys are here and thank you for your support. And we will continue to work collaboratively with you to move this district forward. So go ahead. I wanted to do that before everybody starts dispersing. And go ahead with your first card.
Danielle Smiley.
Oh, I think, she is here. Okay, I thought.
Good evening. I will be very brief.
Ms. Smiley, if you would please state your name, address. Yeah, thank
Sorry,
you.
I'm new to this part. Danielle Smiley, 4400 Glenview Road. I just wanted to state real briefly, as Mr. Jolly said, that we were elected as football game of the week, and having over 1,500 people attend our football game. I would like to give kudos to Mr. Heedy and his staff for having such a safe event. We didn't have not one altercation. Not only did they keep our students safe, but they kept the opposing team safe as well. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Good. The next card is Larry Finch from Highland Hills.
How are you, sir?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Larry Finch, I'm the Community Development Director for the Village of Highland Hills, 3700 Northfield Road. I just wanted to address a couple of the issues related to the CRA tax abatement. You know, this is not an easy thing. It's a very complex issue. And if you're not familiar with the history of the village, you may not be familiar with all the complications that go along with this. The Village of Highland Hills was formed out of land that was all tax exempt. The only developable land in the city is currently owned by the city of Cleveland or by Cuyahoga County. The only way that we were able to initiate development within the city and within the school district was for us to give up half of our privilege to accept income tax from any business locating on those properties. So right off the bat, regardless of who the business is, or what the business is doing, we have to give up 50% of the income tax that we are rightfully, to enjoy by having provided facilities, the roads, the infrastructure, the services to make that possible. In this particular issue, with this particular company, it's a large company. They're currently in Wickliffe. It's an international company. It's a technology company. It's the kind of company you want in your community. They work currently with the Wickliffe School District. They do a number of things with area churches. They have work-study programs. They have some scholarship programs. All those things will be transferred to this district. And just getting down to the specifics of the income tax, or the property tax and the revenue sharing and the abatement. Because the tax rates are high in this area, we are at a disadvantage as a community in terms of economic development. The companies who move here are paying higher property taxes than most other communities. It's not your fault, it's not our fault, it's just the way it is. In order for us to entice or attract communities, we have to kind of at least attempt to level the playing field, so we're competitive with the adjacent communities. So in this case, in doing this, and we've tried to do this over the years, from Enterprise Park, where you have companies like PNC Bank, the Metropolitan Plaza Building, the former Intuit, now University Hospitals. All those things were done in these same kind of constraints, with the village sharing the income tax with the city of Cleveland. There were tax abatements that were granted 50% in those cases, at least in 2 of those cases. We worked with the school district. We've never offered more than 50% of a tax abatement because of our interest to preserve the school district's revenue. In addition to that, Metro Health Hospital owned 90 acres just south of Tri-C. It was sold to the county and then eventually sold to Tri-C. In the interim, the village...
Go right
Yeah.
ahead, sir.
Okay, the village changed the zoning to
Can we turn the buzzer off?
Click the off button.
X out.
See it over in there you go.
It's serious. You run over here, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I know. The song's red.
Sorry
So,
about that.
as I
Go
was
right
saying,
ahead.
in the village's interest to protect the school district, when Metro Health closed, we changed the zoning on the site, and we put a restriction in the zoning for that site such that no more than 30% of the property could be developed for tax exempt uses. That, is kind of a questionable thing, if you can do that or not legally. We were challenged by Tri-C. We went to court, we spent our money, we won in court because of a procedural issue, but we still won. So we're not done with that. I'm sure the next time there's a property or somebody wants to develop that property, will be challenged again. And we're the ones who are doing that and protecting your interests. And we've done that in the past. With regard to the specific abatement, one thing that's not mentioned here is, yes, there's an abatement on the real property. The real property is the building. There is no abatement offered for the land. Land is never abated. There's $4 million worth of land that's being developed. It's currently tax exempt. It will remain tax exempt until some other company like this comes along who has the willingness to locate here. Once they purchase that land, it then becomes taxable. So in addition to the 50% that you'd be getting for the real property tax, you'd also be getting the full value of the tax rate on the land itself. So you're not giving up 50%. In all, you're giving up maybe 38% of the total you'd be rightfully guaranteed. Keep in mind, the village already has given up 50% of what we're able to receive. In addition, in this particular deal, the city of Cleveland, who shares income tax with the village of Highland Hills, is giving up 20% of what they would get normally. All this is to enable the business to get an incentive, both income tax and property tax wise, to enable them to make the financing work for that property. In addition, the village is obligated to see that there's $553,000 worth of capital improvements done for road infrastructure to enable this building to be developed and to be accessed. So there are a number of things related to this. I wanted to make sure we made some points here so the public could see this. It's not a one-sided deal in favor of the Village of Highland Hills. In fact, we are probably giving up more than anybody else in this whole thing. So I just wanted to make that point, make it very clear, say we welcome the negotiations with the school district. We want to make sure that they're mutual and sincere, and just remind everybody that time is of the essence. This company has already run over in terms of their, in essence, what they called their deadline previously. If we can't reach a deal very soon, this deal is going to fall apart. If it falls apart, none of us are going to do anything. And we can't reach our goals, you can't reach your goals without revenue. It's important to everybody, so let's work together and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I just have a question. When is, you said the deal was already supposed to happen?
No, the company was already supposed to have made a commitment in terms of signing the papers to buy the property, to come before Planning Commission with plans for improvements, to get entitlements, those kinds of things. That's not happened. They're holding off because they're waiting for all the dust to settle and all the Ts to be crossed.
Thank you very much. And I do understand that you guys are working on some time constraints, so I'm sure that our attorneys will be reaching out to you guys as soon as possible so we can start having some serious discussions about what can be done. Okay? Do you have more cards?
Yes. The next card is for Mayor Sellers from Warrensville Heights.
Put 2 minutes on the clock, please. I try to take 1 minute, shoot.
Take your time, Mayor, take your time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to say, first I was pleasantly surprised to see as many people in the room tonight that are here, right? Because I've come over here before in the past and it hadn't been well represented, you know. I think this is a good start of where we are. I want to commend this superintendent. I want to commend this board for the work it's doing. I sat up here and it's caught the tail end of the superintendent's presentation, but I want to say this. No one here thought that this was an end product. We're just starting this thing, right? We're working with a lot of different constraints. I will tell you, we're just at the beginning of the journey and not at the end. I want to say, I was listening to the superintendent's presentation talking about the other districts, the affluent districts. Well, my ex-wife and kids live in Aurora, right? And they were going to preschool at the age of 3 in Aurora in 2000. 16 years ago, the affluent districts made this flip, right? We did not, right? So we're catching up now. So I want you to think that you're behind the 8 ball. You're behind the 8 ball, but it's only because they don't tell you that they're making these moves. You go in their schools, you're talking about you've got 4 guidance counselors in the building, all right? They got 4 per building, right? They got the same issues that we have, right? They call them, they design little intervention teams, right? All right, because they got the psychological issues, the home issues, the drug issues. They have it all. I don't want you to think that like we're on an island by ourselves. We're not on an island by ourselves, right? So I know that I'm looking forward to this date in October for the State of Schools presentation. And you guys know that I'm firmly behind rewriting where we are, right? Because you can't send kids to school in the second week in August when it's 90 degrees here. You just can't, right? And we can talk about air and other things. We can also slide the date back, right? Because it's less hot closer to September than it is in early August, right? So we got a number of things we got to do. I will tell you, though, that we have to rewrite the game plan of how we're delivering education here. And I'm pleased to see that you're talking about, because you've got to catch these kids now at the age of 3. You have to, right? In order, because the way the state has rewritten the rules, if you come in late, by the time you get to kindergarten, it's done. It is over, right? So as they slide, the other districts slide, we got to slide too and figure out how we move forward together. I think you guys are on the right path. I was pleased to hear about the associate's degree at the end of, when you get out of high school here, the opportunity to at least obtain an associate's degree and a high school diploma, which makes this keeps this district relevant, right? And it keeps people here. It lessens the mobility here in this district, right? So I don't want you to be thinking that because we have some issues, that your issues are only germane to us. Everybody got issues, right? It's how you address your issues moving forward. And I will tell you that I'm looking forward to your presentation on the reshaping of this district and your bond levy, because I will just tell everybody it has to be done. It has to be done, right? And the last thing I would tell you is just this: don't believe everything you read in the paper. Right? Because the paper had me believe I wasn't a player, but I know I was. Right? I know I was. So you just remain true to yourself and say, all right, we're going to address our issues and let everybody else worry about their own issues. But we got to get our kids across the finish line.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Sellers. Again, we appreciate everyone's support. All right, so we're going to move right along with this agenda. As my board members know, this is a regular meeting, so my hope is that all of your questions have been answered prior to coming to the meeting today so that we can do a consent agenda on these items. So I'd like to turn it over to the treasurer, Dr. Rock. You have an update that you're doing as well?
Yes.
All right. Let's see if we can briefly have your update done.
Actually, the update will concentrate on the item on the board agenda,
Okay.
the permanent appropriations.
Yes.
Those are, just as we presented in last board meeting, those are due every September 30th for all governmental entities, which is what a school district is. It's a governmental entity. So if you go into your folder, you will see the data's in your folder.
Right. Okay.
There should be a handout that looks like this. And we can just go through this real quickly. And also, we met, the Finance Committee and Audit Committee met and reviewed this in depth. It's in the center, a little bit behind the agenda.
In the center. That's fine. I can share. Go right ahead.
Here, you can have mine. Sorry about that.
Missing it?
Does everybody have one?
Hold that up.
Oh, it's
Mimi,
this.
hold that up.
Sorry. No, it's this. It's this. I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Mayor Nash. We appreciate your coming out.
Yep.
It's the one that looks like this?
Yes, I have it.
Is it okay to proceed?
Yes, please. Go right ahead.
Okay, so the first page is the resolution for the permanent appropriations. The second page is our certificate. That we have, these are two things that we have to file with the county auditor. It's part of the exercise. But the most important page is the third page. And you're going to see that there's 3 columns of data. The first column, it says available resource. Okay? So when we're doing our budget, when we're doing our permanent appropriations, we have to look at what is the amount that we have that we're able to spend. That's the available resource. And we have 47 funds in the district. And then, after that, the middle column is the appropriations. That's what we're budgeting. That's the spending limit that the board is going to approve tonight. And then the final column is the difference. And what this exercise does is we have to make sure that we're not spending more than our resources. And I know it's like sort of like one of those where they call it a double negative, but we actually get a report back from the county auditor, and they call it do not exceed. Your appropriations do not exceed your resources, and that's what we want. So in that third column, we want all of the numbers to be positives, and they are, and that's what I'm communicating here.
Okay.
And we had the committee meeting where we went into this in depth, and we reviewed the general fund. So I'm reporting that everything is in balance here.
Okay.
And we're within our resources. And then the next pages are just the supporting pages that support all of that data. So then the big part of this is, this becomes year 1 of our 5-year forecast. So it's a 2-part story. Next month in October, our 5-year forecast is due. And so now we have year 1 done. This is going to be embedded in there, and then we're going to project out year 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I'm sorry, you're saying this is going to be embedded in the 5-year forecast?
Yes,
Gotcha.
for
Okay.
the general fund only.
Gotcha.
Are there any questions? Oh, and then in the, I included last year's, just so you could see what was done last year. And the committee requested that.
Thank you. Do
That
any board members have any questions about the appropriations? Hearing none.
Okay.
Okay.
That
So
concludes
you
my
said
report.
you said we are in the positive for all of the program, the different,
Yes.
okay.
And that list of funds, the top fund is our general fund. That's the majority of our general daily operations of the educational program. After that, every fund, when that's individual, they have a restricted purpose. So like the second fund down, that's 002, that's a bond fund. So the money that's in that fund can only pay down our bonds. The next fund is 003, that's a permanent improvement fund. That can only be used for permanent improvements. So as you get further down the list, and then when you get to the 400s and 500s, those are our state and federal grants.
Okay. All right, very good.
And we'd like to thank the participants on the committee, Mr. Howard, for coming out and spending the extra time with us to dig into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so, hearing no questions about the superintendent's update, I'd like to, at this time, ask for a motion to accept as a consent agenda the items listed under treasurer's report and financial recommendations. May I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve on the agenda, consent agenda, treasurer's report, and financial recommendations, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, and 2.4.
Yes.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved by Member Freeman and second by Member Mitchell. Any questions or comments about any of the items that we are voting on? All right, hearing none. Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes, motion passed 5-0. Item number 3, again, I am asking for a consent agenda under superintendent's recommendations and presentations, board action, oh, excuse me, we don't have anything
No.
for item number 3, I apologize. Item number 4 is consent agenda, superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action certified staff. Mr. Jolly, is there anything that we need to, any
Yeah.
further discussion on any of these items?
Yeah, I'd like to discuss 4.2, that's OGT, the OGT program and staff for students who need to pass the OGT. Currently, we have 13 students who need to pass reading, 20 math, 34 social studies, 34 science, 19 social studies, and 14 writing. The program will run from September 26th to October 20th, when the OGT will be administered the next week. And none of these teachers were here last year.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Can you repeat that 13 in reading?
Okay, I'm sorry. 13 in reading, 20 in math, 34 in science. These are juniors and seniors.
Okay.
19 in social studies, and 14 in writing. Some of these students do have IEPs. They have to sit for the exam another time, which some of them will be exempt once they sit this next time. But these are our numbers at this point. And all the teachers who are in the program who are new, they're all new teachers, so this will be their first time teaching the OGT Blitz.
Okay. All right. Does anyone, well, let me do it this way.
I got one more, 4.3.
Go right
It's
ahead.
a replacement for Robin Swift, who resigned at the last meeting.
Okay.
4.4 is amendment to Miss Kelly August Brown's contract. On the agenda on the 25th, it had the wrong date. She's supposed to start on the 18th, and it had August 25th on there.
Okay.
So it's the wrong date.
Okay.
4.5 is the credit recovery teachers. We approved the program last meeting. These are the teachers that will be working the program. It is online. We have 8 scholars in 9th grade. These are repeaters who need credits. We have 80 scholars in 10th grade, 36 in 11th and 12th. In 12th grade, we have 39 that need credit recovery. Now, some of these are already enrolled in the classes, so during the regular school day, they have these classes already on their schedule.
Okay.
And at this time, we have no one enrolled in the credit recoveries after school program, but they're looking to enroll as soon as possible.
Okay. Anything else under
No.
that? All right, so at this time, I'm asking for a consent agenda for superintendent's recommendations, presentations for board action certified staff. May I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve number 4 on the agenda, consent agenda, superintendent's recommendation and presentation for board action, certified staff, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, and 4.5.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Member Freeman, second by Member Mitchell. I'd like to open it up for any questions or comments.
I have a question. Mr. Jolly,
Yes.
you said these teachers are new. Are they teaching this particular class now?
Yes, all of them teach the courses that they're be tutoring.
Okay, and my second question is, you have no one enrolled for the credit recovery,
No.
and that's scheduled to start next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
How is the word getting out for something that's gonna start in 3 days? And if you don't get anybody,
The program won't run. Yeah, the program, they do have to pay to be in the program. The kids are aware. Similarly to our kindergarten registration, people wait to the last minute to sign up. But the kids are aware of it, and we're just waiting. If they don't sign up, we won't run the program.
And one of the questions that she asked, I kind of like to hear as well, just how are we letting parents know that credit recovery, I think that was one of the action items that we kind of established at the last meeting, but since we're 3 days away, what are
Right.
we doing to communicate this to parents?
So,
right now?
Ms. McDowell, the counselor's been meeting with the students, informing them who needs what. A lot of their schedules already have what they're missing on them, so they're in them during the regular day. But we still have some that we couldn't fit on their schedule because they need so much. And that's why the credit recovery is important. Where we couldn't fit it on a person's schedule, then they would have to come after school. So the information is out. Parents have been informed, the counselors have been calling and contacting. We're just waiting on the people to come in and pay.
Okay. All right, so what I'm hearing is the counselors are the ones that are reaching out to the parents and saying, hey,
Right.
Johnny needs, has some credits he needs to recover, and we're offering it in the after
After school, for $65 a credit hour.
Okay.
question,
Mm-hmm.
what if the parents can't afford it? Is there a plan B here?
It's a case-by-case basis. We haven't had that case yet. So if someone comes to us, we will try to make things right, but we haven't had that encounter, so.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll? Member Norman is gone.
To the restroom. Restroom.
Okay.
Call the roll.
We call the roll, yeah.
Miss Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 4-0. Item number 5, consent agenda, superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action classified staff. Mr. Jolly, is there anything you need to add, or was this all from the last meeting?
No, there are some additions of the substitute paraprofessionals and substitute custodians. All of those have been interviewed and vetted by our HR department. They are to build our pool. They will not work every day. They will work as needed. I do want to note Dominique Mann did resign at the last meeting, but we should have declassified him to a substitute later on. He can work, but he could not commit full-time to the district because he has another business, but he does have the time to work sporadically when we need him. So we added him to the agenda. But all other parties have been vetted. We have Ms. Hauser retired teacher here in the district. So, yes.
Is this Melvin Jones, retired board member?
No, it's not retired Melvin Jones. It's his son, actually.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, so at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept these items under item number 5 as a consent agenda. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve number 5 on our agenda, consent agenda, superintendent's recommendation and presentation for board action, classified staff, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4.
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved by Member Freeman, properly seconded by Member Mitchell. Any questions or comments about any of the items that Mr. Jolly just discussed? Hearing none, Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. Item number 6, consent agenda, superintendent's recommendations and presentations for personnel and programs. Mr. Jolly?
Yeah, I had two that was new to the agenda, which is 6.5, which is the partnership with the Community Connectors. This is a grant that was secured last year with the Cultural Exchange to provide mentoring for 40 scholars. This is no cost to the district at all. And 6.8 and 6.9 are, recently came to us. There's some time constraints on them with the band. The first one is the band going to a competition at Trotwood Madison. The $2,000 will be paid for out of monies fundraised already from the band, so this is a self-sufficient trip from the band. And then the second one is an out-of-state trip to Kentucky State's homecoming. So our band will have the opportunity to perform for Kentucky State. Again, Mr. Keaton has raised money for this trip also to cover his students' travel.
Okay. All right, then at this time, I'd like to ask as a consent agenda, all those items listed under item number 6 for superintendent's recommendations and presentations for personnel and programs. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve number 6 on our agenda, consent agenda, superintendent's recommendation and presentation for personnel and programs, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8, and 6.9.
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second. Any questions or comments?
I have a question. Culture Exchange. Is there any information on it? Who is Culture Exchange? Was there a presentation? Was there a proposal?
This was in the, I do not recall a presentation for the grant. I do recall forwarding the information about the grant, the awarding of the grant by the Cultural Exchange. But no, there was not a presentation from the Cultural Exchange, no.
Who's the owner of it?
Deborah Deborah McHam, who's been providing literacy services for over 20 years. It's located on Larchmere. She petitioned the state, received a Community Connectors grant for $140,000, and would like to share it with the district.
So we're not paying anything?
We're not paying anything, no.
And as far as 6-4, the delegate training, I didn't need Dr. Rock to attend for me, so my name can actually be marked out because I attended on my own.
But we
Okay.
could keep it there just in case the form doesn't come through, because then we're covered with the auditors, just in case.
And your 6-6, your suspension, did parents appeal?
These are two appeals of suspensions.
The parents appeal?
Yeah, these are two parents who appeal suspensions.
This is the same scenario that you asked about at,
Yeah.
meeting before, so.
Well, I just need to know if they appealed.
Yeah, these are two parents who appealed suspensions. A decision was rendered by our designee, and this is to affirm their decision.
So they didn't appeal to the board is what I'm asking?
No, not that I'm aware of. Ms. Rudolph?
Sure.
And let me just clarify something, if you don't mind, Mrs. Rudolph. So as part of the hearing process, do you let them know that they can appeal to the board if, that would be their next step if that's what they choose to do? They cannot? Thank you. Okay, so it,
Expulsion, yeah.
no, that, I appreciate you letting us know that. So in these instances, it will only come to us to do the resolution. Well, no, it would be either for a suspension or an expulsion, but the board needs to understand that if it's the only one that will come to us is if it was an expulsion, okay?
Mr. Johnson?
And let me just clarify, give me one more minute. Let me just clarify one other thing. When it comes to these, me personally, and this is my recommendation to the board members, I don't think we need to know the details of the reason why the suspension occurred, you know, unless the parent has reached out to us, and then under those circumstances, we would still forward it back to the superintendent to resolve, because they can't appeal to the board for a suspension. Now, if it's an expulsion, again, you know, I personally don't want to see the details on it unless that individual has requested it to come to the board. So that's my personal recommendation.
The parent has to agree. You cannot.
Okay.
Because of the confidentiality laws, you have to be very careful revealing certain things.
Exactly.
About a child.
Okay.
And the appeal does state that it states the infraction.
Right,
So,
okay, all right. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
That's okay,
Go right
because
ahead.
I didn't want to see it on the agenda. I was asking a question. But I do want to see information on this cultural exchange.
Okay.
Because it's kind of hard for me to vote on something that I know nothing about.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll receive it. Okay.
So, so what are you saying? You're good with voting on this?
Oh, no, I'm not going to vote on this.
Oh, okay, all right,
I'm not going to vote
all
on
right.
this.
Then do we have any other questions or comments?
no.
All right, hearing none. May I please have a motion to accept all of the items listed under 6.1, under item number 6?
I thought we just did that one.
Did we do 6?
I just read it.
Yeah.
Yes, we're just waiting.
Oh,
for-
I'm sorry, thank you, I got off, so I'm ready for roll call, thank you.
Mrs. Elba,
No.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 4-1. All right, we're gonna move right along to item number 7, committee reports. So I will go first because Budget and Finance did meet. A notice was sent out about it. This is a board committee. Dr. Rock assembled the committee together so that we could review the recommendations for the permanent improvements for fiscal year 2017. It's a report that's due to the County Auditor Budget Commission by September 30th, as he mentioned. And it was a relatively brief meeting, about an hour. He provided an in-depth overview of appropriations to include the definition of appropriations, as well as an overview of the budget planning process. You all have the actual notes from the meeting, so I'm not going to read everything. He presented an update on all 47 funds of the district with a concentration on the general fund, which covers the majority of daily operations of the educational program for the district. We will be meeting again, and that is going to be going over the actual 5-year forecast.
Yes.
We have not set a date yet, but he will be sure to send a notice out and contact all of the committee members. There's 2 other committee members that were not able to make it. One was Lillian Moore, who was here from Highland Hills. She had a family emergency, and Ms. Santanya Jones knew that she wasn't going to be able to make it because of some previous commitments. So that's my report. And I would just like to ask, do you know if Alexia is going to be able to upload the minutes onto the website?
Yeah, the
Ashley
board
did
minutes. Yeah.
It's done? Okay, so when we do our minutes, I would like to ask that, we first have Mr. Rock, in this case, to review them, or Mr. Jolly, and then have them uploaded. So these minutes are available for everybody to see. They are uploaded onto our website. All right. We shouldn't have any other committee reports? No?
No committee report. There is a legislative meeting October 5th in Wadsworth. It's a breakfast for the legislative team. I'll be attending.
All right, and I do want to back up 1 minute. When it comes to the committee reports, it was mentioned at the last meeting that we are required to send out notices for all committee reports. I did some checking on this, and what we are required to do is to send out notices for any committee that is of the board committees. And the board only has policy and budget, so we do need to send out notices for those. Policy has not met as a committee.
Just got the policies
Right.
yesterday.
Right. The other committees are all superintendent committees, which he chairs or he establishes a designee. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear, that those are the only two instances where we will need to send out meeting notices. Everybody good with that?
Say that
All
again.
right.
So you have all of these committees that you're saying are board committees, but now you're saying they're not board?
They're not board committees. Not all of them, no. And that's the way we did it with the last board as well. The only two committees that we had was, it used to be audit, that was a board committee, and policy. All the other committees are superintendent committees.
And you set those at your organizational meeting every January.
Right.
But then you don't need to set if it's not a board committee at your organizational meeting. You're only setting board committees at your organizational meeting.
Yeah.
Right, but you just said that these are
We
not all
did,
board.
we did,
So if
so-
they're not all board, then you don't need to set them at your organizational.
Exactly.
So when we get
Exactly.
ready to
Okay.
do the organizational meeting, if we need to change the way we're doing things, as I said, this is the way the other board did it, and so I followed the same protocol that they use. So we'll get more clarification, and if we need to do it different for the next organizational meeting, then we can. Okay? Any other items under committee reports, which I don't believe we should have any? All right. We have no new business.
I have some.
Um,
The email that I sent you guys about the training.
Oh, but let me just clarify, okay? You only said that you wanted to discuss, that you were going to talk about training. I didn't know that it was new business.
The training is,
And, hold on, I'm sorry, give me 1 minute, I didn't mean to cut you off. I also emailed you and asked you what was the training about. I never got a response.
Oh.
So it was never clear to me that that's what this was about.
it's just the
So
training that I attended.
That's the training for,
The one that you all just voted on.
Record keeping.
Record keeping, correct?
Public records.
that's what I was
That's
trying,
correct.
that's what I was trying to find out. 'Cause You never
Mhm.
shared that.
Yep.
So go right ahead, Member Ella.
I attended the records training on Tuesday in Youngstown. There was school board members, city council members, lawyers, and everything. The training is actually done by Mark Altier. He's the chief legal counsel for the state Ohio auditors. I really would encourage the four of you to really attend. It's a very good workshop. I mean, I know you guys want Dr. Rock to attend, but sometimes when you get information firsthand, it's a lot better. But anyhow, I just wanted to share some highlights with you. That these are things that are considered public records. When a search is done on a superintendent or a treasurer, those become public record. Once they're sent into the treasurer's office, those are become public record. Anybody can ask to see them. Nothing on this is private. You can wipe out the birth date and social security, but other than that, those are public record. Security videos are considered public record, just so anybody is interested. Anyone can request them. Only public officials' addresses are public record, not phone numbers, where it was thought of before. In the past, it was phone numbers and addresses, but it's only addresses. Some of the other things that was really discussed, whenever a document is created, it's considered public record. Anyone can request it. Board minutes, even if it hasn't been board approved. So like when these draft agendas come through, those are considered public record. Texts are public record, emails are public record, all of that. Records retention is considered public record. And I've looked through our thing, and we don't even have a record retention policy, so that's something that as a board that you need to consider. Based on Ohio Revised Code 1306, documents must be provided free to view. So if somebody requested to view some public records, those are free. If they wanted copies, is when the board can set up a stipulation of how much they charge for copies. Generally, it's about 5 cents or 10 cents. They recommend that you don't go over that because that's generally what regular copies are. But somebody can come in and request records, and they can actually take pictures. So they are allowed to ask them to view them where it's free, and they're allowed to pull out their phone and take pictures for free, and there's nothing that the district can do. School boards are not allowed to spend monies to promote levies. Text messages, like I said, are considered public record. There was a, where someone committed an email violation of Havercos versus Northwest Local School District, where there was a use of the email violation, and it was avoiding open meeting acts. Basically, what they were saying is that emails were going across and conducting conversations, but then when you got to a board meeting, what was discussed in the email was never mentioned. That's considered a violation, and that particular case, there's a lot of consequences that board members can face when doing that, so just to kind of keep that in mind. Also, just to note that records requests, they don't have to be in writing. They can be oral or they can be in writing. You can encourage people to put it in writing, but it's not a requirement. So if anyone says, I want to do this, I want this or whatever, as a board, as a district, we have to provide it. And just so people know, anyone can request to view personnel files. You just can't request to see their medical records or social security numbers like that. Drug tests are public record. Random drug tests are not permitted unless it's in a contract or it's for the safety of the district. What else did we? Public records policy must be posted in offices where people can request records. I don't know if, I've never seen that, so I don't know if the district has that right now. So anywhere that public people can ask for public requests, we have to have it posted. And I've never seen that up at the admin building.
You right now.
If you put anything online, we can't charge for it. We cannot charge for time spent with employee to gather materials. Like when people request things, you can't charge. So if it took somebody in the treasurer's office or the business office or HR 2 hours to gather information, we can't charge for that. That's just time that they just have to do the job. Board members are allowed to get bills or anything from legal counsel. And I asked this question since it was done by the legal counsel because I did request a copy of our legal bills because I need to see exactly what the district as a whole is what we're paying. That's not considered a public request. That's not considered client, what is it? Client, yes, thank you. So we do have that right to see it. And actually, the auditors has also stated that they have a huge problem that when attorneys sends district boards or cities or whoever boards, that they don't stipulate what they're being charged for. There's just a dollar amount. And it's kind of hard to go back to see why we're being charged, whatever we're being charged. So that's another reason why I want to see those bills as well. The only time the attorney-client privilege comes into effect is if a community member is asking for the law bills or anything like that. What else? Special meetings cannot say the board will deal with anything brought before the board. They say that that's really a violation. A lot of districts were doing that, but they have been, when they've been going out, to kind of tell boards to stop doing that because you have to only address what you send out to whoever it is that you're sending things out to. When emails are sent and asking for opinions, thoughts is considered. That's avoiding the public meeting and is in violation. Not allowing someone to speak, whether a board member, council, or public body, is also a violation. That falls under State versus Harding versus Clement Claremont City Board of Elections. That was discussed.
Excuse me, Member Elba, can I ask a question? Are you giving it to us for our edification? Because 3 of us are registered to attend a course.
Oh, no, I know you are, but I just want to tell you what I've learned while I was there. But yeah, that's why I said I strongly
Because I'm just
encourage
asking for the interest and time. We've had
Oh, I'm almost done. I'm
our
almost
guests
done.
here for a very long time this evening.
I'm almost done. 2 more, couple more. The minutes must have a clear explanation of what is being said. I was looking at our minutes for September, and a lot of them are not clear. It just has a caption and a title, and that's it. It doesn't say what was discussed, and that needs to be on there as far as minutes.
We'll get clarification on that. We'll get clarification on it.
That's fine. The gentleman's name, he probably will be doing you all's, but he is the chief legal counsel, so I didn't have to make these things up. This is what was said.
Oh, no, we weren't saying we were making any.
Must state the specific reason for executive session, not to read that whole verbiage thing that we generally normally do. And my last thing is that when documents are distributed to the board members in executive session, those become public record. I know sometimes that they like to bring things and ask for it to be collected back, but once it's disseminated, that is public record. So documents should not be collected at the end of a board meeting because they're still public record and people still can ask for it.
Okay.
So that was what I learned at my meeting, letting the sunshine in. So I would encourage, and it is open to anyone, residents, parents. There were parents there, so I would encourage anyone to attend. The next one, I believe, is in Twinsburg.
And we're all registered to attend the meeting at some point or another. And let me just say, our own legal attorney is here. So some of the things that you've mentioned, we'll get clarification on it. Sometimes it's up to interpretation, so, but we thank you for sharing. All right, so we're going to move right along. Upcoming board meetings. Let me just say our next meeting, actually, we have a, do we have any correspondence? I apologize. We
Yes,
do?
I just had the OSBA Northeast Regional Fall Conference.
Okay.
Is October 5th.
Yes.
Here's the handout for everybody.
Okay.
You said it was breakfast. This one's in the nighttime, too.
Oh, yeah.
But it's in Wadsworth.
Wadsworth.
Yes.
All right, so board members, if you think that that's something that you might want to attend,
Is that the one, Mr. Freeman, that you mentioned? Okay.
please let, how much, what is there a cost? $40, the cost to attend is $40?
Yes.
Right.
All right, if you decide to go, just let us know. Maybe we can find out a little bit more about what they're gonna be going over, okay? All right, next item is, upcoming board meetings. Our strategic planning session, the next one is,
October 10th?
okay,
October 10th.
October 10th. Our next informational meeting is October 13th, and our next regular meeting is October 27th. This Board of Education does need to go into executive session, so I would like to ask for a motion to please go into executive session.
Madam Chair, I move that this board go into an executive session to discuss a pending or imminent court action with counsel.
And our legal counsel is here. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify that. May I have a second?
One second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved by Member Freeman, second by Member Mitchell. Any questions or comments about this action? Hearing none, Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mrs.